Hi, welcome to CineMunn Podcast. I'm your host, Vince Munn, joined tonight by Time Metropolis.
Thanks again, Vince.
And Benjamin Briggs has returned from the netherworld.
Hey everybody, welcome back.
It's amazing, he's alive in one piece.
See anything while you're there?
It's a Christmas miracle.
Scorpion, Shao Kahn, Quan Chi, the regulars.
The regulars.
That's the underworld. Wait, no,
That is the
netherworld.
Damn.
I'm sorry,
Netherrealm.
I'm not a gamer.
Netherrealm.
He's got the right terminology.
There you go.
He would, Hi. So, we got a couple topics tonight we're going to go over. Going to be talking about Tom Hardy's departure from his now defunct Suicide Squad, some light Star Wars rumors, and obviously the Oscar nominations which were announced last week. So, firstly, let's jump on in with Tom Hardy has officially left the casting of Suicide Squad. David Ayer's new film, Suicide Squad, coming out next year, 2016. He has dropped out from the film, starring Will Smith, Margot Robbie, Jai Courtney, and Jared Leto. Benjamin, what are your thoughts on Tom Hardy leaving Suicide Squad?
It's madness!
Apparently it's madness.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, Tom Hardy's a great actor. Love having him in films and stuff. Like I say, it's just kind of a shame, man. Kind of sucks, but the show goes on, as they say. You keep doing your thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, just got to see what's going to come of it, and hopefully it'll still be fantastic.
Now, Tommy, you pulled up some kind of spec, I believe, of reasoning behind his departure, other than filming on his current project was going over schedule.
Yeah, it was speculated that his involvement with the movie The Revenant was the reason that he did depart Suicide Squad. However, more light was shed on the reason why he did depart, and it was because most of the actors, I don't know how many, but Tom Hardy wasn't shown a script for the film, and he kind of just signed on. I don't know if you would call it in good faith or thinking that this would kind of boost his career or whatnot. And like you even mentioned, he's already a great actor, so why kind of jump into that? So what was said is that when he did see the script, he did not like how Rick Flag was portrayed, and that they made some altercations to the character, and he didn't agree with that, so he just took off. And to me, the part that kind of sticks out the most is that he just saw the script after he signed on. So it was one of those things where it's like, if the script's not done for Suicide Squad, is there a bunch of rewrites right now? Or, that's the thing I'm kind of concerned about, because Suicide Squad seems like it has the potential to be something great. But I do have a couple concerns with the film, not only just the script, but you're also introducing a plethora of villains that are known to comic book fans and most video game players. But the other thing, too, as we mentioned on one of our previous podcasts, was that the kind of ideology of making a movie these days, adaptation from comic book, video game, or something, is that it has to appeal to the general audience as well as the comic book and video game fans as well. So the other thing, too, is just the thing that kind of struck out to me is like, is this going to be overwhelming? Is Suicide Squad going to be overwhelming for general viewers, or are they at the studios kind of anticipating that, hey, there's enough gamers and stuff, there's enough comic book readers these days to kind of take upon the budget, making up the budget for this film? I mean, to me, it's a little bit of wishful thinking, because as I've watched video game films progress, video game adaptations, they've gotten better, but most of the audience is still gamers, and not just some person that goes to the movie every week or so.
I still see Suicide Squad as DC's answer to Guardians of the Galaxy, where it was a fairly unknown property to general audiences, to general public. Only really hardcore comic readers, and even myself, again, I was not a big reader of Guardians of the Galaxy. I was aware of it, I knew some of the characters and such, but I was never really, a weekly buyer or a monthly buyer of that comic. So when the film for Guardians was announced, obviously I was just as curious as everyone else. I think the same thing's happening with Suicide Squad. However, people are now ahead of the game. I think especially with this, if you grew up watching Batman the Animated Series, like I did, like I think maybe both of you did as well, you're aware of the character Harley Quinn, which is a very, big piece of that of that mythology of the anime show. And so then she was created for the cartoon, was integrated into the comics, and she's one of the lead characters of the Suicide Squad in the current run of the book for the New 52. Naturally, it made sense to bring that character into a film adaptation. That being said, I think they're really banking on the star power they got for this film to draw its audience. You have Will Smith in there. You had Tom Hardy's name. You have Jared Leto, who's just coming fresh off his Oscar win last year for Dallas Buyers Club. You have Jai Courtney, who's an up-and-coming star to a lot of people. We'll see. Only time will tell with that. He has Terminator Genesis as well coming out, so we're really going to see what happens with him. And you have director David Ayer coming off of the high praise of Fury, which I was shocked had no Oscar nominations come to it this year. It was disappointment to me, but that's another story. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So I think Suicide Squad has a lot going for it now. With that, I think the loss of Tom Hardy is a big loss. He is a strong name. He's well known. Obviously, if you're a comic book fan, you know him from his portrayal of Bane in Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. And I think this was maybe for him another shot at playing a familiar character to comic book fans. Because obviously the role of Bane, his face is covered for pretty much the entire film. You don't get a lot of the expression. I think the challenge for him with that character was to create a full character with expression and everything where all you can see is the man's eyes and body movement. And that is a sign of a great actor. If you can draw him, you can draw your audience into that performance with just those abilities. So I think having a character like Rick Flag for him would have been better. And it's unfortunate. Obviously, this happens all the time. People drop in and out of films due to scheduling conflicts, issues. Probably the most famous one would be Hugh Jackman and Dougray Scott. Dougray Scott was originally cast as Wolverine in X-Men back in 2000. Filming on Mission Impossible 2 had gone over schedule, so he had to stay on that and finish. He had to drop out of X-Men. Hugh Jackman was then his replacement, and history unfolded. And Jackman has had a strong career ever since, and unfortunately, you only see Mr. Scott's name pop up every now and then in films. I mean, God only knows what would have happened had he been able to accept the role of Wolverine.
Another thing, too, is you mentioned like the star power is kind of attract an audience for this. Do you think kind of, I mean, we've heard about Al Pacino talking to Marvel about potentially, trying to get in a Marvel film, but do you feel like there's this sort of bandwagon thing that's going on with these comic book movie adaptations right now, where maybe an actor or actress with a big name that on the screen just says, I want to do a comic book movie, and they're thinking that it's going to be exceptionally great? I mean, we look at Marvel, we know they've figured it out. DC's had the Man of Steel and the Dark Knight trilogy, which has been fantastic. And yes, it does pull in some big names. I mean, we've seen Heath Ledger, we've seen Christian Bale, we've seen Tom Hardy. Mm-hmm. So, who was or Superman Man of Steel was
and Russell Crowe in there. You had Kevin Costner in there, Diane Lane. Very veteran actors.
You had a few names, and I kind of feel like it's kind of created this sort of bandwagon thing, and a lot of actors, because as I mentioned, Suicide Squad, Tom Hardy, he came out and said the script wasn't presented to him. It's kind of like he just jumped on the bandwagon and said, I want to do this because it's going to boost my career having another comic book movie.
Well, that happens with a lot of movies get greenlit, start production with an unfinished script, or even no script at all, presented to an actor, simply a concept. Here's the concept, they pitch it to them, maybe the way they pitch it to the studio. This is the concept, this is what we want to go for, this is the type of budget we're looking at, this is where we see it potentially going. Sure. And people will sign on to that with no script whatsoever, and the script is being finalized, it'll go through script polishes. Obviously, some movies are, I can't remember, there's a film, it's right there in the back of my head, that had started production without a finished script. Like, they were still in the middle of production without an ending. No, it wasn't Fantastic Four, something else. Very well could be, but no. I can't remember
Fantastic Four 2, no. Let's say the second one.
Alright, well, moving on. Oh, okay.
Just to finish up on that, the other thing, Tom Hardy, when he mentioned the altercation changes the character, he did include that Rick Flag wouldn't be, predominantly on screen. Mostly Suicide Squad will be kind of the most screen time is expected to be given to Deadshot and the Joker. They're supposed to have more screen time, and that was also another thing that kind of steered Tom Hardy away when he finally read
The script they presented.
that you say polished script. And again, I'm still wondering, is the script even? It should be by now because they're supposed to be filming in not too long from now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is not confirmed, but they are looking at Jake Gyllenhaal to fill the role as Rick Flag from, Tom Hardy's departure. Mm-hmm. So potentially Jake may take on the role, but until then, it's only speculation.
It'll be fun. All right, well, Tommy brought something to my attention earlier this evening on a rumor for Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, opening this year in December. It's still a little hard to believe that Star Wars is coming out again with another film. Yes, I've seen the trailer. We all have. We've talked about it on the show. But it's still not real to me until I see another one that gets a little more of the film. I'm excited to see it, but I'm still just waiting. So, Tom, you said it was brought about by Twitter.
It was on Twitter, a tweeter, I guess you would call them. So tweeter.
A twit?
No, someone that tweeted is called a tweeter. Like
Twit?
They tweet on Twitter. So anything like that. But Lizo Miziba, I hope I said that right, supposedly tweeted that Amy Beth, yeah, Hargreaves is going to be portraying a female stormtrooper. However, that is unconfirmed. And if you're familiar with Amy Beth, I'm so bad with this name. If you're familiar with what she's done, Game of Thrones, she's the big chick in the armor. I'm so bad.
No, you're thinking Gwendolyn Christie.
Oh, Gwendolyn Christie.
Yeah.
I
think Amy Beth is like a brand new, fresh name, which sounds like most of Episode 7, actually.
Okay.
There's a lot of fresh names in there.
Just another thing, too, I mean, now you got female Stormtrooper. Now, I know when John Boyega appeared on the screen, and people were like, he's, a African-American Stormtrooper. So, obviously, things have changed a little bit. But now we're hearing female Stormtrooper. So, this is kind of throwing me into like, okay, we are from previous Star Wars films. It's been clones. So now my thing is like, how and it could mean they just have that big of an army. They have maybe 5 people providing themselves as the clone, like
for the army,
right? For the army. So I don't know. It's unconfirmed, but I think it's pretty interesting to throw in all these. I mean, as far as you see Hollywood come, and actually we were talking earlier about the ridicule. What was it? Was it the Academy Awards?
The Academy Awards, yeah.
And they just got ridiculed for being the
whitewashed. Is probably the best term for it.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I can understand, society, community-wise, where we are. However, when you kind of focus on those things, it ruins it for more people. So and I feel like this is now where movies are having to take upon the role of fulfilling to be diverse and appealing to all audiences, because somebody's going to throw something and say, hey, this ain't fair, you don't have a female, or you don't have African American, you don't have these people, or I mean, for casting reasons and stuff like that, there's that, but just I don't know. I feel like it might be throwing too much into the mix sometimes when they do this, casting, a choice of.
Well, see, it's not. There's a lot of things that people forget nowadays. It's not about color, ethnicity, all this stuff. It's about the talent and the people who can bring it to the table.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter, black, white, Asian, anything like that. If you have the talent, you can portray the character. You can portray the character.
Yeah,
I see that. If it is true, again, this is pure speculation. It's pure rumor. There's no real truth or basis to this whatsoever, other than one person's tweet, which I'm really not going to call a confirmed report. So that being said, if there's a female stormtrooper, God knows what role they're playing. It could be a decoy. It could be stolen armor. It could be an actual part of the Empire, the military. I mean, you could take this in any number of directions. Obviously, a lot more of the hardcore fans will take in any other direction and will dig deep into the Star Wars lore, which unfortunately now doesn't really matter, because Disney has taken all the previous books for the last 20 years and said that is not canon to where they're going with Star Wars now. So, I mean, people can rumor, people can speculate, whatnot. That's fine. Have a field day. As far as the female Stormtrooper goes, if it's true, cool. I mean, we saw Princess Leia disguise herself as a bounty hunter in Return of the Jedi, and no one would have guessed that was her until she took the helmet off.
Even Luke Skywalker, and when they were infiltrating...
Well, he was accused of being a little short for a Stormtrooper. I mean, I would be too. But that's different.
No, I mean, yay for Hollywood. It's just all these things coming out. I'm just kind of curious as what's going on in the film. And most likely I'm to agree with you that it's someone may have stolen a Stormtrooper armor and is trying to infiltrate the ranks or something like that. And but again, it's speculation at this point because it's unconfirmed, and I don't know. It's just interesting to hear.
All right. Well, Ben, you had written down the Oscar nominees. Like we said earlier, on Thursday, the Academy came out and announced their Oscar nominations for this lovely year of 2015. Some of them I agree with, some of them I do not. So we're going to take a few of them and just kind of dissect them piece by piece. Our thoughts, who we think will win, who we think should win, the nominees, who got bumped off the list, who deserves to be there, who doesn't deserve to be there. Obviously, we have no say. We're not the Academy. We didn't make these votes, but we are fans.
Well, let's start with the one everybody's probably looking forward to right now is the Best Picture. Up for it, we have American Sniper, The Imitation Game, The Theory of Everything, Salem, Birdman, Boyhood, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and Whiplash up for the Best Picture.
I believe that's 8 out of... I mean, I know the Academy can now go up to 10 nominees if they want. I think that's 8.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, it used to just be 5.
Quite a bit.
So if they had stuck at 5, I can imagine what would not be on that list. Are there any shockers to you, Ben, on what was nominated as opposed to what wasn't?
You know, I kind of forgot about it. I know it was in theaters. I saw it up there when I went to go see The Raid 2. I completely forgot about the Grand Budapest Hotel. There's a lot of names in there.
It's
a lot of people.
My wife and I just watched it over the weekend on HBO. It had an HBO premiere already. I saw it in theaters when it came out. I thought it's fun. If you like Wes Anderson films, they're a lot of fun. Life Aquatic, Steve Zissou, The Real Tenenbaums. My personal favorite is Moonrise Kingdom. So if you're into those kind of films, even Fantastic Mr. Fox, which was pure animation, I believe stop motion, then you'll enjoy Grand Budapest. It has an outstanding cast: Ray Fiennes, Bill Murray, Jason Schwartzman, Jude Law, Tom Wilkinson, Willem Dafoe, Jeff Goldblum. The list goes on. It's a very fun movie. I was actually surprised that it was nominated for Best Picture. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve it, because it does. I think it's the only film on the list that's a comedy. I take that back. Birdman, I think, technically qualifies as a comedy. I'm not positive. I have not seen Birdman. It has been getting a lot of rave reviews, a lot of high critical praise for not only the direction, but the script itself, for Michael Keaton as a lead actor. So I cannot say where Birdman stands in my own opinion, because I haven't seen it yet. One that I was actually kind of shocked wasn't on there was Gone Girl, which if you have seen Gone Girl, David Fincher's film with Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike, it's very good. It's on the border of being a dark comedy. It's very dark humor in that film. There is humor, there's drama, there's some kind of a little bit of suspense, a little thriller. It's a bit of a whodunit. You can go find it now on Blu-ray and DVD, watch it for yourself and judge for yourself, and think and decide whether you believe it should have been nominated for Best Picture. I think it should have. But if I had to choose between that and some of the other nominees, I would take a few off. Another one that was not on the list that I thought should have been there, but it found its way into other categories, was Foxcatcher. Foxcatcher, based on a true story of Mark Schultz and his brother David in their relationship with John DuPont in the '88 Olympics. It's a very good movie. It's very slow, and it builds and builds and builds to its climax, and it's worth it overall. It's very much a character study of a film. It's straightforward script, but it's very much a character study. These guys get lost in their roles, and it's beautifully done. I thought it should have been up there for Best Picture, but that's me. Kit, what are your thoughts? Who do you think would walk out of this with Best Picture?
You know, it's tough to say, but if I had to take a stab at this list for Best Picture, I'm going to say The Theory of Everything, overall. I like it. I mean, he's on the Eddie Redmayne is on here for best lead actor as well.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Felicity Jones for best lead actress.
Mm-hmm.
She's for that as well. I'm trying to look in my list really quick, see if there's anything else I missed. No, so I mean it's in a lot of categories. So obviously it's really good. So I'm gonna put my money on that.
Put your money on that one.
Yeah.
Tommy, where would you put your money if you were a betting man on the Oscars?
That's an interesting way to gamble. Bet on the Oscars.
I've done it. It's fun.
I know. It's just, like, I don't know if I mentioned in the past, the award shows, it's kind of tricky because someone's controlling it for you. And there's a lot of films that I would love have gotten maybe Best Picture, but in the end, I'm mostly kind of disappointed with my choices. So that's probably why I'm not gambling on the Oscars. But one thing American Sniper, I heard a lot of rave about that. I don't feel like it's had enough of a release yet for people to kind of really weigh it against its competitors in this category. One, The Imitation Game, I do know was a big one. It had a lot of great reviews, a lot of great acting. Same with Theory of Everything. Now, just to me, because another thing too, a lot of these films I wish I could have gone seen, but I haven't been able to. As far as grabbing my attention, The Imitation Game was that one film that really did grab my attention, and I did want to check it out. And I heard it was one of Benedict's best performances, and that's actually what got him nominated for what was it, Academy? And,
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he got nominated for that. And the other thing is just what I like about all these films and genre is that they deal with history and everything. I mean, even Foxcatcher, like you said, not even on there. That was one of my picks. I was like for best film, but at the same time, it's not on there. And just so if you were asking me what I would bet on, I would say it would come down to three: American Sniper, Theory of Everything, and The Imitation Game. However, I do feel like the final thing will go to maybe. I'm going to go with The Imitation Game. So. Yeah, I'm going against you, so don't bet on it because I'm going to take your money.
I'm going against all of you, not because I think
because you're a rebel.
Well, rebel yell in the midnight hour. I think it's going to go between Birdman and Boyhood. Now, I have not seen Birdman. I've heard a lot of great praise for it. I have seen Boyhood. The only thing to me that stands out with Boyhood is the ambitiousness of the project. It was a 12-year film. They filmed it over the summers for 12 years, literally watching this kid grow up, filming it. Basically, the childhood of a boy, hence the title Boyhood. But that to me is where it kind of ends. As a film itself, it's very lackluster. It's not that interesting. The acting is okay. I mean, you get much better performance out of Ethan Hawke and Patricia Arquette, who obviously are nominated for their roles in that film. The ambitiousness of the project for Linklater, yes, it was ambitious. It was ballsy to pitch that to a studio. I mean, God. And for them to take faith and put that out there, great. But it's not a movie I would watch again. I would never probably watch it again. It lacked interest to me.
But it's one of your runners.
But it is one of my runners. So I think Boyhood has a very high chance of taking home the Oscar for Best Picture because of what the project itself was. Yes. Unfortunately, it does happen sometimes in the Oscars. We look at the relevance of a film. But
don't you feel like that robs the other films from what's deserving?
I mean,
the other films, there's a lot of films on those.
There are a lot
on
of
that
films
list that are really
8
great.
Nominations is
if you're going to
amazing.
say the reason that this movie is getting Best Picture because it filmed over 12 years. Now, look, the other thing too, Hollywood, they established budget for the films and all this stuff, but it took over 12 years?
Yeah, it took them 12 years.
And I'm kind of like, and it's not about how much money it made, of course, that's not what these films are about. It's about the performance and other things like that, and if you're saying it's lackluster...
That's my opinion. All film, is based on opinion. What I like is not necessarily what Ben likes or what you like. We all have different tastes. when it comes to film.
What I'm going with, too, is that I have not seen anything about Boyhood except for the achievement, like you said. It's just a cinematic achievement to film a movie over 12 years. So, I don't think the editing process would be that tough, because if you've got 12 years to edit a film, then... But, it's just putting it all together and kind of robbing other movies from what they deserve and what they should be acknowledged for.
I do agree with that. But I'm standing back and looking at it in a devil's advocate kind of way. They're going to look at it not only just as a film, but as what it achieved.
It broke the boundaries.
From a technical standpoint, it was pushing boundaries. Okay. It broke. Yeah, that's what they're looking at.
It should get its own category, not Best Picture.
Right. Well, that's life. Ben, what's the other nominees you have?
Moving along, we got
categories is the best word.
We got Best Lead Actor. We have Steve Carell in Foxcatcher, Michael Keaton in Birdman. My pick, which I think is going to happen, is Bradley Cooper in American Sniper, Benedict Cumberbatch in The Imitation Game, and like I mentioned already, Eddie Redmayne in The Theory of Everything.
Ouch.
This one is really
It's a tough pick.
It's a really tough pick, because they are all exceptional performances. The lead horse, really, for a lot of people, is Michael Keaton for Birdman. It is basically almost a satire on his own career. Obviously, if you know Michael Keaton's history, you know he played Batman, and he's kind of never been able to lose that persona. And that's very much the same kind of idea behind Birdman. Is an actor who can't get out of his persona as a superhero, trying to revamp his career on stage, and it's very much for the part. He fits the part, so obviously he's going to be able to bring everything he has to it as best he can, and I believe he's shown that in this film, hence the nomination. He did take home the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a comedy or musical. So, sometimes the Golden Globes are a foreshadowing of the Oscars. I don't always agree with them. Sometimes they are wrong. Sometimes I agree with the Golden Globe more than I do the Oscars. My personal pick would be Steve Carell for Foxcatcher. Obviously, if you know Steve Carell's film or television history, you know he is very much the comedian. So to see him transform himself physically through makeup and emotionally, verbally to depict John DuPont in Foxcatcher is an amazing achievement to see an actor pull a full 180, especially a comedic actor. I do believe that comedic actors do have very dark parts in their soul. I think that's one reason we lost Robin Williams this last year, is their own personal demons, whatever they may be. That being said, I think Steve Carell deserves the Oscar for this film. Again, that's my own personal opinion. Your opinion may differ, may vary greatly from mine. If I had to pick a second one, it would be Eddie Redmayne for A Theory of Everything. Again, another transformation, verbally, physically, portraying a real person who is in fact still alive, and we can compare and contrast from documentary footage we have, video footage, things like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Tommy, what would you pick for Best Actor?
Oh man, this is not really an easy category for me, because I literally have not seen any of these. However, this one is a real tough one for me. What do we got? Bradley Cooper. I know Michael Keaton took the award at the Academy, right?
The Golden Globes.
Golden Globes?
Yeah.
Okay. I do know, like you said, Michael Keaton gave a phenomenal performance. And I wish I could have seen these films, but however, this is one where, to me, it's almost like kind of not a roll of a die, maybe like a four-sided die.
Wow.
Michael
Wave that geek flag.
Shut up. Michael Keaton, Bradley Cooper, I'm going to go with Benedict, and who was Eddie?
Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, Eddie Redmayne. I'm going to go with them four. Sorry, Steve.
We got the Best Actress. We got Marion Cotillard. Bless you.
Thank you.
For 2 Days and One Night. Felicity Jones for Theory of Everything. Julianne Moore for Still Alice. Rosamund Pike for Gone Girl, and Reese Witherspoon for Wild. I'm going to go with, as much as I like Julianne Moore and Reese Witherspoon, who I think is on a roll right now, I'm going to go with Rosamund Pike for Gone Girl.
Tommy?
I don't think you want my answer. Like I said, most of these films, no, I haven't seen them. You have a lot more input, so otherwise I'd be throwing that die and I'd just be like
that four-sided die.
Four-sided die. Yeah, it's gonna be picking 4 this time. But you know,
I will have to agree with Ben and go with Rosamund Pike in Gone Girl. It was an exceptional performance. It was beautifully done. It was creepy. It was slightly disturbing, sympathetic, and at times terrifying. And I love the film. I am very disappointed that it doesn't have more category nominations, but that's life. So we'll see on awards night.
What can you do? Next up, we have the Best Supporting Actor. We have Robert Duvall for The Judge. We have Mark Ruffalo for Foxcatcher. Ethan Hawke for Boyhood. I like this one, kind of interesting. J.K. Simmons for Whiplash.
Yes.
And Edward Norton for Birdman. I don't think he's going to win, J.K. Simmons, but I like that he's there. Mainly due to all the Farmers commercials.
And he used to be the yellow peanut on the M&M commercials.
Exactly.
There you go. Tommy?
I'm going to have that die handy.
He's going to have that die.
I'll say this.
You get a one-sided die.
I think it'll come down to Robert Duvall and Mark Ruffalo. I think that's who it's going to be closest for. Those two.
I like those odds. I do, again, personal choice.
Two-sided.
I would pick Mark Ruffalo for Foxcatcher. Again, another brilliant performance. The man has been nominated, I think, several times in his life, or at least 2. So I think he is deserving. The real kind of out of left field. That's a left horse. That's a right horse. This is a middle horse. Robert Duvall kind of come out of nowhere in The Judge. I think that's the only thing that film has in the Oscars this year. Really kind of stands out. I mean, to say out of that entire film with the cast it had, you had Robert Downey Jr., Billy Bob Thornton, you have Vera Farmiga, and Robert Duvall. The only person in there who garnered any type of real attention from that was Duvall. That says something about the actor, I think, and about the performance they give and the quality of their talent. That being said, I think this year is going to be J.K. Simmons. He has been the front runner for a lot of awards this year for Whiplash, playing a very dark, very hard music teacher in Whiplash. I've heard it's a phenomenal, scary performance coming out of him, and I believe he is an actor of the caliber to bring home an Oscar this year, and I think we will see it. I think he will be on that stage getting that little gold man
I don't know.
On Oscar night.
Do you think it's going to be as scary as if Mark Ruffalo doesn't win? Because you wouldn't like him.
I know. I don't think anyone will like Ruffalo when he's angry. Hint, hint, wink, wink. May 1st.
Alright, well, up next we have Best Supporting Actress. We have Patricia Arquette for Boyhood, Lauren Dern for Wild, Keira Knightley for The Imitation Game, Emma Stone for Birdman, and of course, Meryl Streep for Into the Woods.
Oh my god. Meryl Streep's in a film, so get her that nomination right now. I don't mean to sound mean. Obviously, she is a credit to her craft. The award she has and the nomination she has proves it. But she had a nomination last year for August Osage County, which was a film that you might remember hearing about, that kind of just came and went. So, like wheat in the wind. So, I guess it says something about her talent that out of the entire production of Into the Woods, she's the only thing that got nominated. So, I mean, that could be good. My money would probably be on Patricia Arquette for Boyhood. Was probably the only thing in that film I really did like. I liked her and Ethan Hawke both. Outside of that, not much else. So that's really my 2 cents on. Laura Dern did do fine in Wild. I like Laura Dern. Obviously, if you listened to our show before, you know I'm a big lover of Jurassic Park, and that's where I first was introduced to her. But I don't think her performance was strong enough to say that she has earned it this year. She's earned the nomination. I don't think she's earned the win. So that's me.
Fair enough. Up next, we got this. I wrote this down just because I thought it was so interesting.
Okay.
For makeup and hairstyling.
Okay.
There's only 3.
Yeah,
but
I noticed that.
Really, it's interesting, the combination. You have Foxcatcher.
Okay.
The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay.
And then Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
There's one of those that sticks out by far,
like a sore thumb.
Yeah. It's like, Which one was most involved with makeup? Seriously?
It was, what was that one? God, it's on the tip of my tongue.
It usually is.
I forgot. I don't know.
The obvious choice would be Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, there was a lot of heavy makeup done in that film on Zoe Saldana, on Dave Bautista as your two leads, Michael Rooker, Lee Pace, Karen Gillan, even Benicio del Toro. But
Yeah.
I think it's going to be looked at differently. Obviously, comic book films have not come into their own yet in the Academy, so I think the Oscar will go to Foxcatcher for the subtle transformation that was done to Steve Carell, Channing Tatum, Mark Ruffalo. It's very subtle. It's a little off-putting, which I think makes it kind of stick out and makes it noticeable. Guardians, obviously, being more outlandish, more blatant, is... I would pick Guardians. That's my choice. I think it was fun to say, let's not do completely CGI on these characters.
Right.
Let's go with practical makeup effects on them, doing full skin colors, prosthetics, appliances, lights, electronics in them. I mean, it was beautifully done. And if you saw Guardians, you know that.
I saw a screenshot of Bautista and Star-Lord.
Is it on the tip of your tongue, too?
Star-Lord?
Star-Lord?
No.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. Screenshot of them off, and I mean, yeah, like you said, the makeup was done on Bautista. Like, it's not just all CG'd in and everything like that. And I kind of feel that's one thing that is going to. I actually have input on this one. I'm not throwing a die.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Shut up.
Is it three-sided die? Because there's only 3 nominees.
That's my train of thought. Shut up. But it's one of those things where they might say, well, it's easy to draw this out, make a concept, and make them look kind of, I don't know how you want to say it, like detailed, like artwork. You can paint on somebody's body or something and do that. Now, the thing with like Foxcatcher with Steve Carell, they literally had to put makeup on him and still make him look like a person. And like, I mean, they still look
natural.
like people
Make it look
in
natural.
Guardians, but they make them, more natural. So that's one thing that would probably kind of that weight there. But to me, as far as like just the amount of design and detail in, I mean, to me, the other thing too, like the way I know this is not going to be a deal breaker or game changer for the hair and makeup, art design, and all that stuff like that. But Ronan, I really, as simple as his makeup was, it did kind of perceive like a dark. You could actually feel the character. Not only the fact that Lee Pace portrayed the voice for Ronan, but it was just all the makeup and stuff. It portrays the characters really well. Now, when you talk about a movie like Foxcatcher and what was our other one here? You can say it out loud. Damn it, Budapest Hotel. Those are a bit more practical and just like, okay, let's make it look like this. As to where Guardians of the Galaxy is like, we need to be a bit creative and go a bit. I mean, who was the dealer that Star-Lord was trying to deal
broker,
with?
Yeah,
well, not the broker, but when he originally tried to sell the orb.
The broker.
Okay. But I mean, like, eyebrows, everything.
Yeah,
even
eyebrows, hair,
all the
skin,
people on Nova Prime, it's like they had to. They all look unique. So it's one of those things that this is where it's going to be an argument of CG over practical makeup and stuff like that. I'm all for practical, of course, but I feel that's going to be a weighing factor between the two films. Honestly, I would go with Guardians, but there is part of me that's like maybe Foxcatcher could take it because of the fact they're trying to portray the realistic, and they're trying to portray a real person as well. So, Grand Budapest, just to me, it seemed a bit more fun, just kind of not really like aiming for a specific style of makeup, I guess you could say. It was just kind of portraying the characters, that's all.
Ben?
You know what? I hope they all win. Every one of them.
That's a fair way to put it.
Three-sided die.
That's a 3-sided die.
Hope they all win.
All right, we got time for one more category. Which one you want to pick out of the hat?
The last one is visual effects.
There you go.
So, right here we have Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Guardians of the Galaxy, Interstellar, and, of course, X-Men Days of Future Past.
Wow.
There's a lot of comic book options in there, folks.
Yeah. I know X-Men Days of Future Past was nominated for something. I didn't know it was going to come up with this. But...
Yeah. Tommy, what do you think?
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, of course I'm a fan of Guardians. I'm just going through my mind about the films, these films that are up, and Planet of the Apes has great visual effects, and this is where I think visual effects is going to, is the biggest factor is going to be visual effects, trying to portray something that's real when it's not. And I don't think Captain America is going to pull it off. I do feel it's going to be between Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and Guardians. Oh, you have Interstellar on here. Interstellar?
Mm-hmm.
Interstellar, to me, when I saw it, it was visually great. Not a great movie, but that's all it was. It was just visually stunning. Days of Future Past seemed like a typical comic book effects. So, not like that you would get in a comic, but it's just one of those things when you see a comic book movie, you're expecting all those effects to kind of happen. Mm-hmm. So I feel X-Men's going to be a bit shy in this category. They're not going to take it. So between Dawn, Guardians, and Interstellar, holy moly. It's going to be between Dawn and Guardians. I got to throw out Interstellar. Between the two, Dawn had that realistic aspect with their effects. Guardians had a bit more... It's an exaggerated universe, but they had a bit more of a solid... With their effects and everything, they made it solid. They made it look like it's practical. Meaning, what I mean by that is that it's not something so over-exaggerated. When you watch it, you'd be like, what the hell? I'll give you... No, I was going to share an example, but I think that would be... a little off there because I could go into a whole different story with that. But it's going to be a tough one between Dawn and Guardians. What do you think?
I'm thinking it's going to be between Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and Interstellar. I say that because with Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, obviously the good majority of that film is motion capture. With Andy Serkis, with Toby Kebbell, Judy Greer, all portraying humanoid apes on film in real time. It's not like they filmed the movie and then separately did their motion capture. It was done in real time, in real locations, in harsh light, and it came out beautifully. I say Interstellar because, for what you can say about the film, was it Christopher Nolan's best movie? No. Was it his most ambitious? Yes, and I think it was because of the effects, because it looked so real. It wasn't portraying necessarily fake ideas. Say what you want about the last half hour of the film, that's all personal opinion. What he was portraying was real. You can look out in space and you see these celestial bodies. You see, and he brought it. And not only did he do that, he did it before he had the movie even done. So by the time they went into production, on set, filming with the crew, they literally had the effects on for them so they could visually react and see them in real time. And to help enhance their performance, to enhance McConaughey's performance, to enhance Hathaway's performance, to make it that much more real and more believable. And that, to me, I think is the achievement that those effects have done, and that, I think, is why they have garnered this Oscar nomination, and why I think it's only between the two. It should be between Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and Interstellar. Interstellar portraying something that is physically real. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes portraying something that is still very new to what we're used to in film. Obviously, really groundbreaking in Lord of the Rings. Took it a little further in King Kong. Tintin, if you forgot about The Adventures of Tintin from 2011, which is a beautiful film, was all motion captured. And now you have the Fox's rebooted Planet of the Apes series. Yeah. Ben, where would you put your money for this category?
I'm going to stick with Interstellar.
Stick with Interstellar.
I love space. I love the beauty of it. And I think I just got a hunch. Just got a feeling.
Are you hooked on
That
a feeling?
would be Guardians, man.
I am hooked on a feeling.
So,
Are you high on
I
believing?
think you're real.
You know, if you keep quoting all these damn songs, we're gonna have to pay all these royalties. You realize that? We really, if you're gonna quote stuff, you need to quote public domain things.
I do have an input.
Robin Hood. There, that's a public domain.
On the Interstellar taking best visual
Peter Pan.
performance, right? Visual performance?
Visual effects.
Visual effects. Now, to me, yes, Interstellar visually was fantastic, as I admitted earlier. However, that we do already have that bar kind of set for space. It wasn't of the length of Interstellar, which is why Interstellar predominantly still can take it. But Gravity with Sandra Bullock kind of showed this whole space and the whole visual stunning reality of it. And Nolan's is a bit exaggerated, which is why I can't...
Well, this is film. Everything's exaggerated.
Everything's exaggerated, but also the other thing,
Everything's
too,
awesome.
you were also talking about... Earlier, you were talking about how Christopher Nolan made it something real look visually, stunning.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was one of those things that I think Interstellar could raise the bar again. However, we've already seen that kind of visual depiction and with Gravity. That's why I'm kind of like two films, space, in space, galaxy, whatever like that. It just, not that it's too soon, it just seems too similar to me, which is why I want to see something, when I say visually stunning, I want to see something that's going to be unique, and I feel Interstellar didn't have that uniqueness that it should have. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks visually great, but that's just my input why I wouldn't pick Interstellar. So, but yeah, so that's, what else we got?
I have a diary entry from when I was in high school.
We'll get into that next time. Thanks for listening to our show today. This has been CineMunn Podcast, again, with Benjamin Briggs.
Woo!
And Ty Metropolis.
It's always fun here.
I'm your host, Vince Munn. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.